All right, I did not intend to make this video a listicle, but as I was like mapping out my thoughts on it, it sort of broke itself into 5 convenient categories. So we're embracing it. Let's just embrace YouTube culture here. So we're doing the 5 types of MDers who get accused of faking. And unlike a lot of my other videos, this is not based in research or anything. This is all pure anecdote and opinion coming from my mind. So we're going to start with the one I've been seeing most recently. And I think that's because of TikTok. I've done videos on TikTok. My experiences with looking at MD TikToks was mostly positive. I haven't seen any of the really bad ones, but send them my way if you do, because I'm really curious to see them now. At any rate, we're not talking about the TikTokers for this one. We're talking about the comment section. So number 1, the content denizens. So what I see people saying most often with this one is, I saw this TikTok and oh my God, the comment section was filled with people self-diagnosing. Utterly ridiculous. So I looked at a few of the comment sections in these TikToks that I had seen, just to get an idea of like how people spoke, the kind of things that they were saying over on that platform. And this applies not only to TikTok, that's kind of where the big trend is happening now, but it's in other places too. You'll see this sentiment. And what I saw a lot of, and what a lot of people brought up was, add that to the list. And I think we're being a little too harsh on these guys. This isn't faking or anything like that. This is just normal people reacting to 15 seconds of relatable content. Add it to the list just seems to be like the new mood. They're not adding it to an actual literal list. You know who keeps a list of their diagnoses? People with a lot of diagnoses. But in my opinion, that isn't even what 99% of these people are saying. They're just saying, bitch, same, and moving on with their life. And the few that might be partially serious when they say this are the few that are going to look into it more. They're just popping a comment on there for the meantime. And it's, in my opinion, it all reads as very tongue-in-cheek. So what can we do about it? I mean, nothing. Just leave them alone. It doesn't mean anything, and I don't think most people think that it means something. If you're worried about these comment sections turning into cesspools of misinformation, comment good information to them. Yeah, check out Dimmerswitchdisco. I mean, if you want to. There's a lot of good information out there. Ellie Somer himself has a YouTube channel. Direct people to the ICMDR. Direct them to specific papers, even. You know, there's good content out there about MD now, good informative content that you can direct people to if you're worried about the direction that this is leading. Number 2, the confused. They came across something, they saw something, they heard something. It describes them or some aspect of them that they are conscious of. But they haven't yet been exposed to enough information about MD to really understand where they fall on it, or if they even fall on it. A lot of these people might possibly be immersive daydreamers, non-pathological immersive daydreamers. They aren't faking, they're lost. A couple of good sources, a couple of good comments, a good conversation will have them sorted out pretty quickly. It can be frustrating to see people misunderstanding maladaptive daydreaming, especially when they sort of get excited and jump the gun and be like, I'm a maladaptive daydreamer, and then describe something that is not MD. But they aren't faking it. They're just a little turned around. They'll figure it out eventually. Number 3, the inarticulate. These are maladaptive daydreamers. Again, not fakers. Nobody in this video is fakers. The inarticulate just don't have the vocabulary to describe what they are experiencing. So they end up saying weird stuff like, does anyone else confuse fantasy and reality? Which is a big no in MD. What they might mean to say, unless they're one of the confused. Some overlap here. I'm inarticulate as well. when what they mean to say is not something that's scary, not that they're losing their grip on reality, just that every once in a while they're like, wait, did I tell Jeff that or did I daydream that? Pretty common. Because, like when you've gone so long not knowing what is going on with you, it can take a while to get the words together to describe what is going on with you in a way that the rest of us are going to really understand or recognize. So with that, again, it's just more information. Just give them more information. Give them words to use. Describe better than they can whatever they are talking about is like an MD. And you will find that they are either inarticulate or confused. And either way is fine. Nobody needs to be shunned for seeking out community and understanding. They might have been wrong about what they had, but that's fine. We can cross it off the list for them just by not being douchey. Not the TikTok list, different list. Or we can give them the tools that they need to talk to people, because you don't want like their first experience IRL talking to a therapist or a parent or a friend to be super confused and freak people out. Language is important, and our communities can be like a practice arena where we can get comfortable talking about it to each other and learn the language that best describes what we are experiencing. So then when we bring it into the real world and are finally ready to sit down with a therapist, we can tell them what our concerns are and what support we need. It just saves everyone a lot of headache later. Number 4, the excitable. So these are the people who have a really strong reaction to being able to talk about MD finally with somebody, about, not even about MD, but about their inner worlds and characters. Because our relationships with characters and worlds can be so central to the MD experience, it's a thing people are going to want to talk about. It's a thing people find cathartic. And it's a thing that some people get really excited about. They find a bunch of other MDers and they're going to info dump all their characters' biographies right on you, right in your lap. And they'll talk about their little cinnamon roll baby para and their like edgelord face claim OC. I'm just throwing out fandom words now. I don't even, they just go off. Just go off. So you might look at this behavior and think that they're way too into this, to this particular aspect, maybe. In talking about MD, they don't talk about MD. They talk more about the experience of a paracosm, which is central to MD, but you know what I mean. Point is, they are not faking having MD. An argument could be made for them romanticizing it inadvertently by focusing on this one positive aspect, but it's not fake. It's not fake. They have been unable to talk about this thing that is so central to their everyday life that they're just so goddamn happy to see you, and they're going to tell you about it. So I'd say be gentle with them, nerd out with them. It's whatever. If, in my experience, if you get them going on other aspects of MD, it'll become really clear really quickly that they do have other things to say. It does affect their lives in ways that they haven't brought up yet. And if you give them the room to open up, they'll open up. They'll talk about it. And if they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to talk about it. And if you don't want to hear about it, don't hear about it. Just carry on. Just carry on. I don't want to hear about it. And I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. I just can't hear about it. Hearing about other people's storylines and plots and characters and all that is just it's not good for me personally. So I don't interact with those posts. That's fine. That's a perfectly acceptable way to approach it. Just skip them. Move on with your day. And number 5, which I have dubbed the willfully positive. This is more of an approach to MD. These are the people who focus their efforts towards wellness on unconditional acceptance that their daydreaming is an intrinsic part of them that they are not going to fight against or villainize, and they are going to internalize that more positive outlook on it, and they are going to pump up the positive aspects of it and lean into whatever they can grab onto there and sort of downplay the negative and just brush that away. I might not be describing this accurately. And whether you agree with this approach or not, it's kind of none of your damn business. They are a maladaptive daydreamer, and how they are choosing to address their issues does not invalidate their experience as a maladaptive daydreamer. And they have the same right to put that out there as the rest of us do. As much as I'm allowed to talk about the things that I am doing to curb my daydreaming, they are also allowed to share what they are doing to cultivate a positive attitude and minimize the distress in that way. And yes, this is different than enabling. I'm not trying to tell you to accept enabling behavior, but that's different from someone who accepts that they have a problem and is purposefully and with structure working towards minimizing that problem in their life. So guys, we're not going to fix the internet. We're just not. It's not on the table. It be what it be. But we can do everything that we can to make sure our own little part of it does not become some creepy ass dark hive mind. And we can do that by, when you come across one of these posts where you're just like, dude, what the? Just take a sec. Read it again. The whole thing, not just the parts that annoy you. And put it down and think about it for a minute. And think about if they might be one of these people that they're not expressing themselves well, or they are excited or confused, or just taking a different approach than you. Or like we talked about in the beginning, sometimes it's just an offhand comment that boils down to, I relate. And it's not really worth your ire. And not all of these people that you come across are going to turn out to be maladaptive daydreamers. Some of them just aren't. But that's okay. They're on a journey of self-discovery. And they just made a pit stop at MD. The answer to all of this is just post back good information. It'll clear up the confused. It'll help other people reading that comment chain. It just spreads resources to another thing on the internet, which is exactly what MD needs. And that's kind of all I have to say about that, okay? Spread the word. Good word, like informative, peer-reviewed word, but compassionately. And I guess I'll see you in another video, probably.